So some colder weather and I think even a snow surprise on the way for some of you. We're going to look at that today. Well, these are your temperature anomalies. We're looking at the 850 millibar level. This is where we measure where the cold air is. It's the easiest way to tell. But one thing we're seeing, okay, before we get any chances for snow, it's going to be the cold weather moving in all the way into Florida. So temperatures are going to get pretty cold here across the west. No relief for the cold and snow lovers here. We're relatively dry. Another shot of cold moves south as we head into Friday. This sets the stage up for what I'm going to term could be our surprise snow that we're looking at. On the channel, I say we're shopping when we're just sort of looking at this point. Nobody's buying just yet. I get that all the time. People saying, I'm not buying it. I don't know what makes you think I am yet, but we are watching something here on the southeast coast. I'll show you in just a second. But look at the below average temperatures that just keep pounding parts of the Great Lakes into the mid-Atlantic, into the northeast, warm across the west, no cold here. There are some signs that could be changing later in the month, but we get several shots of cold that just continue to move in this northwest flow if you were to look at last night's European AI. This is what I'm looking at today. Probably wouldn't be saying much if I didn't see this start to grow. And this is the ensemble guidance for more than 1 inch of snow. Granted, it's going to snow up here, but watch the southeast coast as we head into Saturday, into Sunday. Okay, so this is pretty low, 10%, in some cases close to a 20% chance of seeing more than 1 inch of snow. But I can tell you this was not here the last couple of days. So we're starting to see the models grab onto at least the ensemble guidance, starting to get some agreement that we need to watch whatever happens here off the southeast coast. Here, how much snow are we talking? This is the operational GFS. It's going to be really heavy. I promise you it will be. A lot of lake effect snow, by the way. These are the snow totals through the date above my head through Saturday. GFS picking up on something from southern Georgia into the low country of South Carolina, into eastern North Carolina, all the way up to Norfolk. Okay, that's the GFS from overnight. This is the Europeans, kind of the same time frame. Here's the snow that we're going to end up seeing as we head into Thursday. Again, quite a bit of lake effect possible too, and all the way down to the Appalachians, a couple of inches possible. But look what's happening on the European through the overnight. Not as heavy, but it's got something here. Okay, this is not a huge deal that I would change my world over, but I'd watch this. And then kind of snowy as we hit through the next couple of days and even into the next week across parts of the Great Lakes and across the West. Look at this, guys. This is through next Saturday, this would be through this Saturday, rather. No snow, but what I was going to show you, now we're taking it all the way into next Thursday into Friday. Finally, sometime, maybe, pretty wild to see this, right? So here we are today, all the way through the weekend into next week. Maybe we get some precipitation into the Northern Rockies by the 23rd, 24th, 25th. That's a long way away, and who knows if that's even going to happen. But there are some signs that there will be some colder and snowier weather and wetter weather in the West once we get toward that time frame. Okay, let's take a look at the European from overnight. This is the operational run, not the ensemble guidance, which, again, it's what I want to look at when we start to determine the risk of snow. This is just going to give you the idea of where these players may be and what this particular run shows. And I do want to go back and show you the early morning run, which has changed just a little bit. But this was last night's run. Here comes the cold and the rain to snow across Ohio, western PA. Some of the snow could get heavy for a brief moment before we switch over to nothing. A little bit of wind and rain and some snow across parts of eastern PA, but don't expect much. You'll probably see a quick shower and then a transition to cold weather. I don't know that we even get any snow out of this. It's likely going to be confined into interior areas. And then as this trough moves off the coast, watch this little dip here. Okay, so maybe we squeeze out a little bit of flurry and snow shower activity into the Delmar, but other than that, not much going on here. Here comes the next shot of cold. On the southern side of this is where you want to watch. Once we get now into Friday, into Saturday, quite a bit of snow shower activity, kind of cloudy across this region. And then once you get into the south, here comes some showers and then maybe some more snow into the mountains of North Carolina. Do we get some snow here into Virginia? This doesn't look really impressive to me. What I'm watching is actually back here. It's this trough that's digging in. It's this piece of energy that's way up in Alaska now. It's going to ride in. And the question that I have, this is kind of a positively tilted trough too. Can it get going negative? What we don't see is a big blocking high off to the north that's going to just help this thing slow down and dig. But it tries to dig a little bit here on the coast as we move into Saturday night and Sunday. The early morning run of the European was actually just a little bit more aggressive with the snow right here along the coast. So let's watch this time period. Otherwise, I'm not ignoring the West. Sometimes I get accused of that, but there's nothing going on. I said this yesterday, still all the way through Saturday and Sunday, dry weather, quite a bit of sunshine, very little chance of precipitation whatsoever. I don't even know how much cloud cover we're going to see with this type of setup. Cold Arctic high pressure trying to build in behind this. It'll move down the prairies, and ahead of this, we'll see a little bit of snow across the Great Lakes as another clipper system moves through. So again, a couple of rounds of snow for this region, southern Ontario into Quebec, into the Great Lakes states, and then into the Northeast. We'll see some snow showers here, and that cold pushes all the way into the south as we head into Monday and Tuesday. And the overnight run of the European, or the early morning run, trying to even pick up on something in Texas. Last night's run said, nah, probably not going to happen. It does try to push this along the Gulf Coast. And then here comes that change that the European and the GFS, by the way, is picking up on across the West. And let's see how our storm pattern changes once we get through these systems that we're dealing with now. Further east on the GFS, I do want to compare this because I want to show you what's going on pretty close here, spot on through Thursday and Friday. Here comes your next trough. There's that snow into the Appalachians, the Cumberland Plateau, into parts of PA, into the Northeast, into Michigan, more snow falling here, also into Indiana and Illinois, some light snow shower activity. The GFS says this is getting a little more amplified. It's slowing it down just a little bit, and the more it slows, the more it digs, the stronger it gets, and the closer low pressure can develop to the coast. If that happens, you're going to get a heavier snow here. I said if that happens, you're going to get a heavier snow here. This is definitely worth watching. Again, I probably would just look at this and go, she'll just sneeze away and go. But again, the more than 50 members of the European starting to latch onto this idea. The newest run from this morning was even stronger. Now you're seeing a 30% chance of seeing more than an inch of snow. And even more impressive, when I flip this over to more than 3 inches, it's at least showing up. So this is a time period worth watching. Let's let the GFS roll out too, by the way. At this point, who knows? But the pattern definitely starts to shift up. Precipitation-wise, and we'll dig into those snow totals just a little bit closer, there's that rain transition to snow. I want to show you this because it could go really quick as we head into tonight, not just here into the Appalachians, but also into parts of Ohio, Kentucky. It's not going to last long. That dry air is going to punch in behind it, and we start to dry out across this region. Some decent snow, though, further north into New York, Syracuse, Rochester, to upstate New York. I think we're going to get some decent snow out of this, and that wraps right up into this region, so there could be some heavier snow into parts of southeast Canada. And then here comes the next system. This could bring some heavier snow out ahead of this as we head now into Friday early morning, maybe a quick burst of snow into Chicago before the sun comes up, and then that moves across Michigan and then further south to Louisville, to Cincinnati, to Columbus, and that pushes east. How much snow are we talking about over the next couple of days? This is not going to be a lot of snow right here. This is the blended model data through Thursday. Down through the Appalachians, 1 to 3 is what I think is going to happen down here. Some areas, especially east of the mountains, very little, if anything, happening whatsoever. A couple of inches, though, possible up around the lakes, especially as we get that lake effect kicking in and backing this up. Again, decent snow downwind of Lake Michigan, but this next system that's moving in Thursday and Friday could give us a quick hit of some light accumulations. And then we'll see what happens off the southeast coast. And further to the west, again, into Minnesota, some snow falling here through Friday and Saturday, especially across the Arrowhead, into northern Minnesota, then further north into Canada, some snow. But listen, once you get back here towards Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, down into Montana, even Wyoming, I'd argue, western Wyoming, and then across the west, very little, if any, snow. Let's talk temperatures. They will be changing for many of you over the next 24 hours. There's a lot of folks that live in this region. And you're going to feel it as you wake up into Thursday morning. Temperatures dropping well below freezing by the time you get up early Thursday. A lot of teens and single digits on the board, even down into the south. Look at this, into Thursday morning, 20s waking up from Atlanta down to Macon. Highs stuck in the 30s and 40s. We're in the teens and 20s into interior areas. Even into the Northeast, we cool down into the temperatures below freezing. As we head now into Friday, a little bit warmer across the south. We're back into the 50s across Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, even Louisiana, climbing well into the 60s. And that warm air tries to squeeze north into Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, out ahead of our next trough. Even up towards New Jersey, we're back up into the 40s, upper 40s, close to 50 into the Delmarva. Teens, single digits swinging in from the northwest. This cold is going to punch in, and now we set the stage for what might be happening on Sunday here into the coastal areas. It's not that cold. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I get it. That's well below average for South Carolina, but Let's see how all this plays out. Is it going to be cold enough for accumulation? I think if you're going to see it, if you can get your system going, it's going to be in this region. At least you stay below freezing, and that's cold. I mean, that's eastern North Carolina, highs somewhere close to 30. All right, this cold weather sticks around as we head now into Monday, at least for the Great Lakes. We start to warm up some across the south, some. Still chilly, though. And then look at the cold moving back into the Great Lakes. These are temperatures below zero. All right, let's go west. Also north and west, too. We can see all the way to the Canadian border. Temperatures across Minnesota, single digits and teens as we get through this afternoon into this evening. Some pretty cold weather tonight, too, dropping below zero into the Arrowhead, down into Wisconsin. Highs tomorrow, slightly warmer. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be pretty warm across the plains and also into Montana. A bit of a cool down on the way for this region as we head into Friday. Highs not nearly as warm. We go from the 50s to the 20s and 30s, even down into Kansas, although Oklahoma is still staying in the 40s and 50s. The biggest brunt of the cold is going to go this way. So you're not just going to see this huge dive along the Front Range down into Texas. That's not the setup. Although you can see how that cold tries to progress to about the Red River, and then it retreats back to the northeast as the flow turns southwesterly with highs in the 60s by Sunday across Texas. Let's look at these temperatures across the west because, man, I'm telling you what, pretty warm across California. LA, close to 80 degrees. San Diego, really warm across the south into the deserts. There's that warm weather across Montana, into parts of Wyoming, Colorado, a lot of 50s, close to 60s showing up, and even across the Great Basin into the mountains. Pretty warm here, too. It's going to get cold at night in the mountains, but it can be much colder. Look at this. What I don't see, not a lot of below zero temperatures in the mountains. It's January, and we're just not seeing it. Some of the lowest snowpack on record for parts of the Rockies. So, yeah, we could use some snow here, especially for those ski resorts. Look how warm it is into California, up to Oregon and Washington heading into Saturday. There's that real Arctic air. What it doesn't do here, it's not going to be able to move into this region. You just got that huge blocking upper level feature that's going to stick around. And then here's your temperatures all the way through Monday. Maybe some colder weather toward the end of the month. The GFS says, yeah, maybe sometime around the 29th, 24th, 25th, I should say. I don't know. Let's see. That's a long way away. If you're new, you're just coming onto the stream here, you can back it up, take it from the beginning. We're wrapping up. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a great Wednesday. And I'll be back with another update tonight because it's interesting to watch what's happening across the southeast coast. See you next time.